Alright, YouTube. Part 2 of 1. My camera cut off on me. The first part was 29 minutes. And I guess at 29 minutes that's where the camera stopped, so I do apologize for that. And I was sadly disheartened because I didn't know the camera stopped, and I kept on going. And I rewatched it about a few minutes ago, and so I just realized, wow, I just kept on talking. So I'm going to finish this up real quick, and we're just going to press on. We're just going to press on. We're not going to let that little mishap, some technical difficulties, stop us from getting the truth out there. No, we're not. Okay, so I just left off with Judges. Manoah's wife saw the angel. He looked like the angel of God. She knew it, but at the same time, her husband, he looked like a man. He looked like a man. But Manoah's husband believed. Manoah believed. Manoah believed. Very contrary to Zacharias in Luke chapter 1. That's just a side thought. Okay, so we're going to go down to Daniel 10. After Judges, you're going to keep going forward in your Old Testament. Daniel 10. Daniel 10, 4 through 6. And on the 24th day of the first month, I was by the side of the great river, which is in Hiddekel. And then I lifted up mine eyes and looked, and beheld a certain man, clothed in linen, whose loins were girded with fine gold of Uphaz. His body was like the beryl, B-E-R-Y-L, beryl, and his face was the appearance of lightning, and his eyes as lamps of fire, and his arms and his feet like the color of polished brass, and the voice of his words like the voice of a multitude. And I, Daniel, saw the vision, for the men that were with me saw not the vision, but a great quaking fell upon them, so that they fled and hid themselves. Alright, so right there, Daniel's getting a vision, an angel showing him the vision, and that's awe-inspiring. That's awe-inspiring right there. I looked and beheld a certain man clothed in linen. And I'll tell you this, that linen that the man's wearing is white. An angel in heaven is not going to be wearing red linen or black. Definitely not black or blue or purple. No. White linen. All the angels in Revelation are wearing white. Jesus, you're going to wear white in heaven. And gold. His loins were girded with a fine gold of Uphaz. And his body was like the beryl. A beryl is like a blue-green emerald. And emerald is a green. This beryl is a blue-green. I think it's more... This is the word I'm looking for. It's almost like the color of this pen. Almost. With a little more green to it. You can image search beryl. B-E-R-Y-L. It's... And that's his body, like... That's pretty impressive. And his face was the appearance of lightning, shining bright, and his eyes were as lamps of fire, and his arms and feet were the color of polished brass. Now, I was in the army. I done some stupid stuff in the army, and polishing brass was one of them. Massive artillery shells. Brass shells, just a big bullet, basically. We had to polish brass. So I can get a picture of what polished brass looks like. Like it's bright and shiny, goldish in appearance, but not gold because it's brass. Now that's awe-inspiring right there. It doesn't say he had wings. Doesn't say, and it's not talking about Jesus. I promise it's not talking about Jesus. Promise. So that. But what's important to gather from here is that he beheld a certain man, and even though he was as heavenly as described, Daniel knew this was a man. not a woman. I'm going to get to that. Let's go to Joshua. And in my other videos in this series, I'm going to be re-referencing this right here. Because you read a certain part about these angels in the Bible, and there's so many different directions. There's so much knowledge and information in these that you can start talking about this, you can start talking about that. But we're going to stay focused and zeroed on what we're talking about. Kinds of angels and what they look like. So let's go back to Joshua. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua. Get to know your Bible. Joshua chapter 5. There we go. Alright. Verse, notes here. 13 and 15. And it came to pass when Joshua was by Jericho that he lifted up his eyes. And isn't it funny that Daniel also lifted up his eyes? Up. And looked, and beheld, there stood a man against him with his sword drawn, the cherubs in Genesis 3, in his hand. And Joshua went up into him and said unto him, Art thou for us or for our adversaries? And he said, Nay, but as captain of the host of the Lord I am now come. And Joshua fell on his face to the earth, and did worship, and said unto him, What saith my Lord unto his servant? And the captain of the Lord's host said unto Joshua, Loose thy shoe from off thy foot, for this place whereon thou standest is holy. And Joshua did so. We can go several different directions from there, but what I want to stay focused on is that Joshua looked up, and beheld, there stood a man over against him with his sword drawn in his hand. A man. I'm yet to read in the Bible where an angel is likened unto a woman. Haven't found it yet. And I'll tell you this, it's not in there. And for those who have read their Bible, that just read it just for the sake of argument, the only thing that I can, and I'll call this out myself. Because I can see how this could be misinterpreted, but the Bible's going to define itself. Go ahead and turn to the end, towards the end of the Bible, in Revelation 15. The 7 vials of God's wrath. Verses, zeroing on it, 5 and 6. Revelation 15, verse 5 and 6. And I saw another sign in heaven. And after that I looked, and beheld the temple of the tabernacle of the testimony in heaven was opened. And the 7 angels came out of the temple, having the 7 plagues, clothed in pure white linen. I told you so. Linen. Pure white linen. And having their breasts girded with golden girdles. Now, Daniel saw a man with his loins, wearing white, an angel. So let's make our bar graph or a chart here. You got Daniel and Revelation. You got a man, white linen. You got the angels, white linen. The loins were girded with gold. In Revelation, you got the angel's breast girded with gold. Now, just wait. And one of the 4 beasts gave unto the 7 angels 7 golden vials full of the wrath of God, who liveth forever and ever. Now, it's like, oh, their breasts were girded. They gotta be female or women-like. No. Okay. Men, when the Roman soldiers went to battle, what do they wear? A breastplate. Men don't have breasts, but it's called a breastplate. But if we keep reading, just skip ahead 1 verse to Revelation 16, the next chapter. Then I heard, and the 7 angels received the 7 golden vials of God's wrath. And I heard a great